All right, so we have a loose baitcaster. Pulled this out of the river a couple days ago, and as you can see, it spins a little. We're going to try and clean it or store it and use it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the spool. So you pull this little knob, and this should turn. Full disclosure, I opened this up once already, so all the dirt's out of it. Didn't want to make a mess in the house, have the wife kill me. Come on. There we go. And we're actually going to clean everything. We're going to take it all apart. So this spool should just come straight out. We'll set it off to the side. We're not going to disassemble this yet. Take off the cap for the retaining nut. Set this to the side. If this is your first time ever repairing anything or trying to repair stuff, it's always a good idea to take photos first or as you go along, just to make sure you put everything back together okay. All right, now we're going to remove the tensioner. As you can see, there's still dirt and stuff in here. We'll clean it out. I know this part right here is actually installed wrong. So when I slapped this thing back together so I could shoot this video, I accidentally installed just one of the drag washers on this side of the sleeve. So, but whenever we put it back together, I got an illustrated parts breakdown list that I found online. It's not necessarily for this model, but it is for a 1SH, which is what's written on one of the sides. In fact, it's right here, and it says LZRP1SH. So the Laser Pro, I believe, is what this stands for, and then 1SH would be like the designation of whatever assemblies inside here. From what I understand, the different types have different sets of mechanisms on the inside, where you've got multiple sets of like a Teflon or Delrin, and then like a metal washers that act as rotors to slow the mechanism down. I'm no expert when it comes to these reels, but I do enjoy reading, so. And that makes that brings me to another point. Do this at your own risk. If you're trying to repair, obviously one that you haven't found that's been buried in the water. This is your own reel that you use like day to day or when you're out fishing. Any type of repairs you ever do, you're doing it at your own risk. But you may mess something up, get hurt. So don't blame Nick. You notice though that the difference in sizes in the screws right here. So each screw has only so far it can go into this plastic, right? So you want to make sure that you're putting the right screw back in the right hole. That smaller one tends to go right here because this piece of plastic is smaller than, say, this sleeve and this cavity and that cavity. So just make note of that. Oh, there it is. This is actually one of my favorite things to do whenever I find stuff in the water that's either been dropped or lost. If I can't give it back to the owner, of course, I'll actually try and repair it and use it. I mean, there's no sense in throwing the stuff away if we can help it. Yep, see, there's the other drag washer. Those are actually supposed to sit on top of one another on this side of the assembly. So in here, you got your sleeve for your anti-reverse bearing. And we're going to remove the bearing out of this too, because we're going to clean all of it since it's been, that's if we can remove the bearing. Don't think you can without pressing that out. So we're just going to leave it in. All right, this is your cast control knob. Works on a vacuum. I'm not sure how they did this. Looks like this actually twists off. One second, let me see if I can get a tool to open that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to try and let's take this off first. Yeah, that's not good. Really don't want to punch those out. Yeah, you're not going to be able to get those out without punching them. All right, we're going to try and doctor these up as best we can. Got an ultrasonic cleaner that I'm actually going to put this entire assembly in. And hopefully the vibrations alone will be enough to get some of the crap out of there. Same way within here. If not, again, you know, it's not costing us anything to fix this. So, but if you were doing this type of repair, I would suggest calling Lou's and ask them, or calling a certified real repair shop and ask them the best way to do it. All right, so we're going to pull out the main drive gear. This is actually pretty neat, the way this works. There's our sleeve. This is a pressure plate. And this is our little rotating thing. As you can see, this little guy has been almost fused to it. So, but you want to make sure you get this out and clean it. Again, if you were servicing this yourself, you would want to replace this part. But for the purpose of, again, this video, we're not going to do that. We're just going to clean it, see if it works, call it good. So, I just messed up. So that was in there, right here. So this little guy. You want to make note though of the way this sits in here. This actually goes this direction, because when you're cast, when you get ready to cast, this little mechanism pops down, right? So then when you reel this again, or reel it, it'll actually hit this and pushes this back up. Springs, and more springs. All right, so right here, you definitely want to take a picture, okay? Because there's too many little springs and things in here that if you mess with and you don't know which way they go back, you're going to be like, oh man. So. All right, see? And this whole assembly will come out then. But remember, you got C-clip right here. Be very careful not to lose it. Sometimes these will shoot off. You're like, whoa. Mm-hmm. Normally that's what this tool is for. But you would have little holes right there, and you open it up, but not this time. It's just so slippery. Alright, so let's try it this way. Put this up under there. Well, unfortunately, I think we're SOL on that, because if I pull too hard, I'm going to break that. And I'd prefer not to, because then we're back into spending money. All right, so what's next? Take this little guy out. Some things about seized on there. There we go. It's pretty cool. You get to actually, it's like you can lubricate this spot. Unless I'm seeing that wrong. I don't know. So see what I mean by it pops off? Let me shoot off and do whatever it's going to do. All right, so note, there are 2 washers right here. 1, 2. This pin should just slide through. Yep. Just like that. And this is what's called a worm gear. So this bearing fell out of that side. So again, make note. It's an interesting thing right there. Yeah, there's all kinds of gunk inside that. So, all right, now we've got to pull this guy out. So we want to remove the front face. May have to step down your screwdriver to a smaller one for some of these. Alright, so if you notice what drives and rides along this, not drives, but rides along these grooves, is this little guy. It's pretty neat. So it would actually sit there just like that, and it goes back and forth, back and forth. It's pretty cool. So we're going to put you right here. Alright, what else we got to pull? I've already pulled that side, so we can pull this through. You also notice, like I started putting stuff here, work my way down, drop down, come down this way. Now I'm going back that direction. So when I get ready to put this back together, I will start from down here and work my way back. That way everything's lined up. Now, I know I said I want to put this in a ultrasonic cleaner. Only like the bearings, the drive assemblies and stuff like that, I'm not going to put in there. All these screws and stuff, I'll just wipe off and clean off. But I wouldn't just dump all the parts in the parts cleaner or ultrasonic cleaner, and because it would be a nightmare trying to sort everything back out. It'd be worse than a carburetor. All right, so that's there. I'm gonna remove that screw, and then we got a couple springs. Let's see here, so this is going to come out too. You might notice that I've got some like odd looking tools. Like this is for soldering. These are just tiny wooden handle screwdrivers. Then got like these what look like surgical tools, right? I actually do 3D printing and 3D modeling and stuff like that for the entertainment industry. So I have to create things all the time. So I go out and buy little doodads like this to do this job. It doesn't mean that you need all this specific tools. I mean, you really just need a screwdriver and a 10mm wrench. You know, you could honestly grab some tweezers would help, but that's really about all the basic tools you need. Come on. A retaining clip holding that in. There might be something on that though. Pretty sure this might be pressed in right here. At least that's what it feels like. Actually glued into it, maybe. The odd part though is this is actually raised. Like there's a seal, but they're not. There's not a seal. So what we're going to do is we're going to reconnect this spring so we don't lose it. And we're going to put this entire assembly in the washer. Damn. Row. See how that little spring goes up in that hole? You got that little hook. There we go. Same thing on this side. Let's reconnect this guy. You probably accomplish this with a pair of needle nose if you had some laying around. Get back in there. Come on. That'll work. All right, so like I said, now that we got all this disassembled, we'll set this up here for a minute. All right, see, this is what happens whenever I move stuff around. This little guy, that was right there. That goes back in to that hole, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it holds all this together. We'll put that back in so this doesn't come flying apart and then I don't know how to put it together. loosen it just a little bit so that the machine can actually oscillate and kind of get some of that gunk rattle loose in it. But other than that, I think that's all right. So we'll set that right there. Then we're going to look at the brake assembly. My understanding is that these magnets work in conjunction with this little dial, and I'm not sure how it actually applies tension, other than maybe, oh, it's the side of the spool. That would be the side of the spool is actually metal, so that's what it actually hits. That's pretty cool. So just like the rotor and stator in your car. Neat. All right, so let's disassemble this part. Where's that little screwdriver? There's the little clicker doohickey. Careful with that little guy. Yeah, it's got plenty of dirt in it too. See? So if you try and pull on this and you notice you're like, oh, it doesn't come out, it's because this has a retainer right here. So what you do is you turn this till that pulls out. Be careful now because this will pop off. And you've got these springs right here. See how there's corrosion and stuff in here? That's not good. It's good that we're actually cleaning this out if we're wanting to reuse it. I'll be highly surprised if these bearings, though, are actually still good. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think there's magnesium in these bearings. And magnesium and water don't go too well together. But we're going to do what we can. I'm not going to try and remove those, just making sure they're still in there okay. So, all right, so we've got this. There's another bearing. All right, here's your bearing retainer. This little guy. Come on. All right. So, what? After as easy as that came out, I wonder if there is a retaining clip in here. Yes, there is. Good. Now I can at least clean those proper. And there's still gunk in there too. So I removed the ring out of that, and then that's whenever the bearing came out. I apologize for having it off camera. It was off camera. Still don't think this is actually going to come out. And this right here is your, like I said, your anti-reverse bearing. You really don't want to mess with these too much, because if these go bad, then the reel goes the opposite direction too. It's not good. All right, so that's it. So now we're going to clean all this in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm going to put everything in a bag so we don't lose it. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to put those in there. I'm going to wash that one too. The good thing is, since I've been recording this, that means I got a picture of the way it all lines up. Yeah, you can kind of see all the gunk in there. Same thing with there. All right, so last thing to do is de-spool this. I'm going to take that is a push pin. So what that means is it only goes in through one direction. Unless it's actually a screw. Huh. I do not know. So we're going to have to make the best of it. Just leave it in there. Like I said, I'm no expert at this. Just taking my sweet time and figuring things out. This is sad right here, though. There's a lot of fishing line. You would think you could reuse this, but with as long as this has been underwater, as this dries, the braid will actually start to deteriorate. Plus, you don't know if anything's actually living in there. You gotta remember, this thing's been underwater for a long time. Find me a little critter in here, freak me out. All right, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything set up, and we'll be back in a minute.